This
Robin. I'm Paige.
conference will now be recorded.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. Let's start that over. Hi, Robin. I'm Paige. Nice to meet you.
Paige. Nice to meet you.
All right. So we're recording this session. I don't know anything about you. We're just meeting right now. The session's being recorded. Is it okay that we record and share this session?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you, Robin. All right, so I'm just going to do a quick intro about EPT and then we can jump in. So for anyone who's getting on and watching right now, I'm Paige Cargioli. My business is Open Heart Holistic Therapy, and I am an EPT practitioner. EPT stands for Emotional Polarity Technique, and it helps children and adults with their emotional and physical pain and suffering by resolving the unresolved conflicts in their lives using the science of forgiveness so that they can just feel better and get past whatever is blocking them from being happy or healthy, whatever it might be, whatever their goals are, whatever their issues are, to help them reach them. So, Robin, have you ever done EPT before?
I have not, no, but I have. I watched your mom this past week. It's the first session that I've ever seen. I have been on and researched it a little bit, so I have a little bit of an understanding on it. Mm-hmm.
Have you read the book?
Yes, I did order and read the book. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you find out about this, or just?
I'm my job. I'm a speech language pathologist, and I did endoscopic swallow studies all around. But I was in a cycling accident in 2016, and you know, when you're involved in something, you know, like that, you kind of evaluate or reevaluate your life. So I went back to school, and I'm in done all of my coursework, but I'm in the process of writing my dissertation in integrative medicine. Totally different area. Yeah, a transition. So I'm just looking at all things.
So you're are you a PhD student or MD?
Yeah, PhD student.
Where?
At Quantum University.
Oh, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. All right, so you're writing your dissertation. Oh, yay, school, hooray! And then what are you hoping to do after?
Yeah. I am setting up my own brick and mortar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And do you have any questions for me before we start, or no?
No, not really.
All right.
Maybe after.
Okay, maybe after.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what is it that you want to focus on today, or what do you want to work on, or what's coming up for you?
Let's see. Well, you know, I kind of like in preparation for this, I kind of looked over the scope of my life and figured out where I have been attacked most of my life in all of my areas. And I came up with two things. I've always been attacked in my heart. You know, I'm a giver. I love people. And my heart has always been attacked. And then my voice is number two. I've always had a lot to say. I'm always been cut off. And I've actually even visually seen sometime a hand, you know, just when I'm driving, a hand reach out and turn the volume down as I was talking. I've actually seen that. And I'm like, whoa, what's that? So those, even today, I have that pressure, you know, when I'm talking, you know, it's in my head, sometimes it's my husband in my ear because he's, I'm going to be kind. He's very impulsive and impatient. And so he doesn't have a lot of time. So say it within a minute and a half and then I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? So I feel pressure, you know.
To get it all out.
Yeah. So those are my two.
So it's feeling like your heart's being attacked, but in a way where, I guess your voice and your heart is what's going on here.
Yeah.
Where it's like your energy is being kind of pulled away or like kind of just like stopped in its tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to be who I really am because it gets cut off so quickly.
Okay. So just being your authentic self.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, feeling cut off. Okay. I'm just writing things down. I have all my things here. I've got one of my charts back there. Okay. All right. So heart attack, feeling your voice is attacked, feeling cut off, being your authentic self. So the goal is just feeling safe to be yourself. Or I'm trying to think, because like what's the I mean, if somebody is like attacking you, it's not necessarily you. Like it could also just be them being themselves. You know, like
Yeah, very verbose, or yeah.
yeah.
I'm a soft-spoken in general,
Okay.
and then people trump that, by speaking over top sometimes. Or family sometimes.
Okay, so and do you want to like is it that you want to just be able to feel like I'm thinking, trying to just feel kind of okay with that or be at peace with that without feeling like you're being squished, because people can do that and you don't have to feel squished about it. But also when you need to say something or it's important or like it's like no, you're undermining me or you're shaming me or you're just trying to be over me. That's kind of the feeling, like over.
Yeah, control. There's a lot of, so there is some control there.
Okay.
But it's not important. What I have to say may not be important,
Ooh.
that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. To someone.
Okay. So it's like, so in the attack, it's like more of a control. It's not just cutting off so much as it's like they're somehow manipulating my voice.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then okay. And then it doesn't feel safe to continue. So, right.
There's no opportunity. Yeah, no opportunity to continue.
Okay. Okay. You don't happen to have magnets, do you?
I actually do have some magnets, but they're not in a pretty fancy thing like you said there. And they're just the little ones. They are the earthbound ones. They're just little circle round ones. Yeah.
Do you well, I mean, you can use them as long as you know which is north and which is south.
Yeah, I do. You want me to grab them real quick?
Yeah,
okay.
grab them.
Yeah. Oh, figure it's one that I didn't open. Okay.
All right. So if you have,
I want to make sure that this is what you're referring to. I'm going to show you. Okay. It's a little circle like that. Is that okay?
Yeah. Do you have two?
I do. Mm-hmm.
And then you just need to know which is north and which is south.
Yeah. These are hard to get apart, aren't they?
I've been needing to get some at Home Depot myself.
Oh my gosh! Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't know.
I mean, you don't need. You can just cut it. You can just use. You don't need it. They can be stuck together.
Oh, they can. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then we're here. I got them.
They're still just as long as they're separate, like north and south.
Yeah. Shoot. I had one pulled off, and then it went back to its partner. Okay. I gotta make sure it's okay. I'm holding them far apart.
Okay. All right, so you're gonna have the north side on your head like this. So this is north, my green side, and you basically hold it on your head like this. So both north sides, if you can.
Yep, making sure. Okay.
Okay, there you go. All right, we're gonna squeeze and then breathe 3 times together. Okay, so so it's you squeeze and you breathe on the inhale. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep them there, but then put one hand on the bridge of your nose and one on the back of your skull, on the base of your skull. And same thing, kind of squeeze and breathe. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And that's to balance both sides of your brain and also build rapport. If you're in my office, hands on, I put my hands on. So you're using yours. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to work on just you being able to be yourself without feeling cut off, controlled, attacked. I'm like the other, you had another word. It was like, yeah, I mean, those are them. Those are the words. Okay.
Okay.
Or also just feeling like you can still be yourself, even if someone is being that way, you know? That's the other thing. Okay, so right now what I do is I test distress, your elation, stage of healing, blocks to healing. So I'm just gonna go through and test, figure out the picture, and then we'll say some statements. Okay? So it's a little weird even on the phone or on the video because I'm kind of looking down. I'm using muscle testing for anyone who's watching muscle testing. Are you familiar with muscle testing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Okay, so distress on we'll say on the attack. So distress is pretty high, like a 10, and it probably is like a kind of trauma brain, like you feel frozen.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Elation is a 0, so you're not addicted to being attacked. That's good.
Yeah.
We like to test elation because sometimes if somebody enjoys their own anxiety or enjoys their depression, or you don't want that can interfere with healing. You don't want to enjoy those things, or you don't want to feel elated by that somehow. Okay, stage of healing. So we have the 7 stages of healing. I actually have my little card here.
Okay.
And maybe my mom will probably put a note in there, but the stage of healing, this is from Barbara Brennan's Light Emerging book. So there's 7 stages: denial, anger, bargain, depression, acceptance, light emerging, and creation of new life. And you can kind of bounce between them, but the idea is that you're always kind of going through. So you in different parts of your life too. So it's not like just because you're in anger doesn't mean you're in anger everywhere in your life. You might be in anger in your relationships, but then in acceptance in your business or something. And then once you do have creation of new life, you usually go back through again. Because you created something, you made something new, you transitioned through, and then you're like, oh, what am I doing here? That's basically what happens. So for this issue, anger makes sense, I think. All right, so, and showing up is weak, and I think that's the freeze part where you just feel frozen and you don't know what to do. All right, now I'm gonna check for who and what. All right, self. I'm checking the this is the organ chart back here, but I have it in front of me too. So, and if you're not familiar with this is a how emotions are related to organs, and it comes from acupuncture. So this is an acupuncture chart if you know. All right, so. All right, so the emotion is resentment, which falls under liver and gallbladder. Okay. Super. My resentment towards somebody else. Yeah, it's my resentment. Okay, your resentment with your dad presently.
Presently.
Do you have,
okay.
Or I mean, presently, generally presently. Is there something that you can think of, or?
Yeah, my dad, he's deceased right now.
He's
well,
oh,
of course, he's always going to be diseased, right?
yeah.
He passed in 2014.
Okay.
My dad was absent. No, he was there. He was there, but he was not actively present in my life. So, in other words, he never showed up for anything. He had other, he was working on his career. He sewed a lot into the people that were surrounding him in his career versus his family. And that wasn't me in particular. It was all of the kids.
And did he let other people? So he just wasn't very, like you said, emotionally present. But did he let other people sort of? Did he care about? I mean, what? Like.
So the situation was, my mother and my dad got divorced when I was about 3 or 4. Okay. My father was an attorney. He graduated when I was about 3 or 4 from law school. Okay. He had an affair and got remarried. And he kind of forced my brother and I, who was a year and a half older than him, to live with him because my mother, of course, was, she had my brother when she was 17. She was, dropped out of high school when she had my brother. So she wasn't able to financially afford us. So we went to live with him, and who he married, because I thought I had forgiven her for all this, for who he married, I look very much like my mother, and because they had that adulterous relationship, I was mistreated, I guess, by her in the home. Yeah. So favoritism, you know what I'm saying? Like, she knew I liked something, like Sean Cassidy. This is just one thing I had in my mind. Sean Cassidy, you're too young, but I liked Sean Cassidy when I was younger. And he had these like satin shorts, and I wanted these pair of satin shorts. So she would not allow me to get them, but she got them for her and her other 2 daughters. That kind of thing. Everybody else was allowed to cook, but I wasn't allowed to cook. That kind of dynamic. Okay. Yeah.
So but, he doesn't show up, but he kind of forces you to be in a situation you don't want to be in, where you can't even like be yourself.
Right. Yeah, I can't do anything about that situation, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I mean, it works as far as my resentment with Dad because he doesn't show up. That seems fine. But then, like, even if he does show up, it doesn't sound like he's super helpful.
No.
Okay.
He was just not available. Like, it was it's like kind of just not available. He would work 9 to 5, and then he'd go to meetings, and then he would put other things in priority instead of his family,
Well, it's like he forces people around him, but then isn't there for them. Like it's more like he forces everybody else to show up for him, and then doesn't for them. Like, just like,
I guess you could say that. Yeah, building his own career, and whatever was priority for him and his self-interest. Was priority. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's so we're gonna go back to original event, see what happened, see what we got. All right. Yep. Age 3. It's mom's resentment. Yep. So you felt your mom's resentment, with your dad when you were 3. And you said he was graduated then, or?
Yeah, he was graduate. She helped him get through law school, and they were going to switch. They were going to swap. He was going to provide for her as she went to school, and he instead took off. Yeah.
Oh, at 3 so he graduated and took off when you were 3.
Yeah.
And then when did he get you?
Right
away?
Shortly after, maybe 4. I can't exactly remember. Maybe 3 or 4. 3.5, 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not going to elementary school yet.
And did you have any other siblings, or were there any other kids or any other people in the house?
I had at that time, at that age, I had an older brother. He's a year and a half older than me, and that's the only two that it was my brother and I from my mother and father. And then when we went to live with him, his new wife had a daughter, so it was a stepdaughter at that time.
Oh, at that time? Okay. Oh, his new wife had a daughter. Okay.
Yeah, she was 6. She's only 6 months old. She's just a baby.
Okay. All right. So mom's resentment with dad at 3 because it's not necessarily that he doesn't show up so much as it's more he left us. Like he left you guys.
Yeah. Abandonment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think it's also like a lot, probably some anger too of like he didn't even, like they had a plan. Did she really think the plan was going to go through? Do you know?
Yeah, my mother? Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
she believed that.
And
they were childhood sweethearts. I mean, like childhood sweethearts.
So
yeah,
he really just,
yeah.
He just cut her off basically after he finished.
Yeah, just left.
Mm-hmm. And did it, like, was it a surprise to her? Like, I can't believe
absolutely. She had no clue. No clue.
Oh.
They weren't having any difficulty. There was no communication about it. He just had an affair and left. Wanted to start a different life. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe even like he's selfish.
Oh yeah, I would say that. Narcissistic almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say.
Okay. All right. So now with the magnets, we're going to you want a South Pole on your liver, so, and then a North Pole on your forehead.
Okay. North Pole on the front, and the liver
is let's see here, right side. I'm like, is this right? Yes. Right
yeah,
side.
It's I got it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
All right. So we're gonna think about your mom's resentment when you were 3. So breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe in. Like my mom's got the notes on the side. She put dad is entitled. That's nailing it. Mm-hmm. He probably got pretty much everything he wanted.
Yes.
Kinda. Yeah, really. He did not get what he wanted.
No.
It's tough when you get everything you want.
Mm-hmm.
To stop getting everything you want.
Right.
All right, so okay, there is another emotion. Mom's anger. Yeah. It's the same picture. I mean, resentment is one thing, but anger is bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's mom's anger. Now it's gonna switch. It's gonna be North Pole on your liver and South Pole on your forehead. All right, we're gonna breathe. You're thinking of mom's anger at dad because of being entitled and selfish. All right, breathe in. Yeah, you got it. Breathe in. Breathe in. All right. Okay. Yep. And then mom feels abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's heart. So it's North Pole on your heart and North Pole on your forehead. All right, so mom feelings abandoned by dad. Yeah, and breathe. Yeah. Breathe in. I like to describe the magnets and the emotion chart as kind of like a acupuncture adjustment, but just using magnets as opposed to needles.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So mom's resentment, anger, and abandonment towards your dad. Yep. When you're 3. All right. So that's what we're gonna work on. Oh wait. Okay. I also checked to see just trauma. So trauma, from Basil Vanderkolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, there's phase 1 trauma and phase 2 trauma. I don't know if he describes it as phase 1 and phase 2 in the book, but it's basically the fight or flight response and the freeze response. So the left brain starts under functioning and the right brain is like over functioning in kind of like big survival mode in fight or flight. And then phase 2 is both sides shut down or they're under functioning and you're kind of on autopilot and you kind of go into that freeze dissociative state. So P2 is where your brain is at in your 3-year-old self. So you're just, you're just on, you don't know what's happening. Like, this is a mess, like, and you go wherever you're told to go, you do whatever you got to do. And that's 3 that's a tough age. That's a tough age. All right. So, and you might have, I don't know if you were being passed back and forth or if
Yeah, on the once everything got settled down on every other weekend or whatever they had, but then it became very manipulative for my mother. Like, she wasn't allowed over, she wasn't allowed in the house. There's, it was more of a control from my dad to her, I guess. Yeah.
Was there something unsafe about being with your mom, or was he just?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay,
She was a single mom. She was a young single mom, dropped out of high school. He was an attorney who knew the law. He just totally took advantage of her. Yeah. Yeah. Rotten.
Right.
Rotten. Yeah.
That's pretty rotten. That is pretty rotten.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do next is the statements.
Okay.
So I follow a card, but I also do some improvising.
Okay.
And so we're doing forgiveness, letting go of your mom's feelings of resentment, anger, and abandonment, and just letting go of these emotions with dad so that you can show up and be yourself. Yeah. And again, like, I'm thinking about your poor mom. She's the one who was cut off. She's really cut off, really controlled, and very attacked, and just like totally helpless in a certain sense.
Vulnerable. Yeah. Yeah.
Very vulnerable. Just those words sound very true. And this is tough. This is tough. So to be able to let go of that will just relieve you a lot, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for forgiveness statements, let's see here. You've got the magnets. So if you can, there's a couple different positions you can use while doing forgiveness statements. So if you get tired doing one or the other, you can switch. So there's fear release points, which are just below your collarbone, and you can just kind of rub them while you say the statements. For trauma, since we're dealing with trauma, and just you might get tired. If you can tap both sides of your head to kind of keep it awake while you're saying statements. But also, it's like tapping like EFT. It's an EFT point too. So.
Okay.
Or you can also put South Pole magnets on both sides of your head. So you can just hold them here too.
Okay.
So those are your positions. You can
all the same time.
Well, again, and
switch between them.
Yes, you can switch between it. You can switch between them. Sometimes the tapping is a little bit nice, just to, I don't know. It's like a little bit of movement while you're It's a little bit of movement while you're saying the statements. Usually if I have somebody in my office, they're holding magnets or magnets on their feet. I might be holding the points, or I might be tapping on their head, or I might be using I've got my little chi machine down here on my foot right now.
Okay.
And my mom always says, this is for just to keep me grounded as a practitioner while we're working over the phone. So, all right. So, this is a tense time
Yeah.
period. All right. So, all you gotta do is repeat after me and breathe after each statement. And we'll go for a little while. All right. Okay. So, I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
I have to hold on to my mom's resentment and anger
I have to hold on to my mom's resentment and anger
with my dad when I'm 3
with my dad when I'm 3
because he selfishly left us.
because he selfishly left us.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
I have to hold on to my mom's resentment and anger
And I have to hold on to my mom's resentment and anger
with my dad
with my dad
because he was controlling and cut her off.
because he was controlling and cut her off.
Yeah, and breathe. Is that your dog?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll lock him. I can lock him out.
I'm just making sure it's not somebody else on the.
No, I can lock him out. Go ahead.
I've got my dog in here too.
Okay.
All right. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
I have to hold on to this feeling of abandonment.
That I have to hold on to this feeling of abandonment.
That my mom had when I was 3.
That my mom had when I was 3.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
That this feeling of resentment and anger.
That this feeling of resentment and anger.
From when I was 3.
When I was 3.
Will always be this way in my life.
Will always be this way in my life.
Breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
That this anger and resentment and abandonment.
That this anger, resentment, and abandonment.
Is my fault.
Is my fault.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
That that being cut off or controlled.
That being cut off or controlled.
Or attacked.
Or attacked.
Is somehow my fault.
Is somehow my fault.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my mom.
I forgive my mom.
For blaming herself.
For blaming herself.
For my dad's selfishness and entitlement when I was 3.
For my dad's selfishness and entitlement when I was 3.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive my mom.
I forgive my mom.
For holding on to resentment and anger.
For holding on to resentment and anger.
Towards my dad.
Towards my dad.
Because he left.
Because he left.
Breathe. I forgive my 3-year-old self.
I forgive my 3-year-old self.
For believing.
For believing.
She has to hold her mom's resentment and anger.
She has to hold her mom's resentment and anger.
To protect her from her dad.
To protect her from her dad.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive my 3-year-old self for believing.
I forgive my 3-year-old self for believing.
If she shows up to be herself.
If she shows up to be herself.
It'll disappoint her mom or dad.
It'll disappoint her mom or dad.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my 3-year-old self for believing.
I forgive my 3-year-old self for believing.
She was being controlled and attacked by her dad.
She was being controlled and attacked by her dad.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my 3-year-old self for believing.
I forgive my 3-year-old self for believing.
She can't show up in this family.
She can't show up in this family
without being controlled or attacked
without being controlled or attacked
or cut off.
or cut off.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my mom
I forgive my mom
for hurting my feelings
for hurting my feelings
by holding this resentment and anger towards my dad.
by holding this resentment and anger towards my dad.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for not showing up.
for not showing up.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for um, for for bringing up this resentment and anger
for bringing up this resentment and anger
and abandonment
and abandonment
when he left
when he left
and was selfish and entitled.
and was selfish and entitled.
And breathe. I give my mom permission
I give my mom permission
to let go of blaming herself
let go of blaming herself
uh, for not doing something sooner
for not doing something sooner
to help our family.
to help our family.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
my dad has to change
my dad has to change
before I can let go of this resentment and anger
before I can let go of this resentment or anger
and show up as myself.
and show up as myself.
And breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for controlling, attacking, and cutting off my mom
for controlling, attacking, and cutting off my mom
because he believed he was entitled.
because he believed he was entitled.
And breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for believing
for believing
it's better for him to get what he wants
it's better for him to get what he wants
than take care of our family.
than take care of our family.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for believing
for believing
getting what he wants helps our family.
getting what he wants helps our family.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for only showing up when to get what he wants.
for only showing up to get what he wants.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that if I show up to be myself,
that if I show up to be myself,
then that's being selfish and entitled like my dad.
then that's being selfish and entitled like my dad.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that if I show up to be myself,
that if I show up to be myself,
I'll either be like my dad
I'll either be like my dad
or I'll be hurt like my mom.
or I'll be hurt like my mom. Oh, that was strong. That was strong. Wow. Woo.
Okay. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing
I don't know who to be
I don't know who to be
at 3
at 3
without being selfish or hurt.
without being selfish or hurt.
I give my 3-year-old self permission
Okay, I give my 3-year-old self permission
to honor the parts of me that are my mom and dad.
to honor the parts of me that are
that are my mom and dad.
Are my mom and dad.
Yeah, I'm brief. I give my 3-year-old self permission
I give my 3-year-old self permission
to accept.
to accept.
She can feel safe, secure, and complete.
She can feel safe, secure, and complete.
In her family.
With her family.
Yeah, I'm brief. Let's see here. I give my 3-year-old self permission
I give my 3-year-old self permission
to know
to know
she's loved
she's loved
and she can be herself
and she can be herself
and still love her parents,
and still love her parents,
even in this mess.
even in this mess.
Yeah, I'm brief. I give my dad permission to forgive me
I give my dad permission to forgive me
for blaming him
for blaming him
for these feelings of resentment and anger
for the feelings of resentment and anger
and abandonment.
and abandonment.
Yeah, I'm brief. I give myself permission, or I give others permission
I give others permission
to forgive me
to forgive me
when I'm selfish or entitled.
when I'm selfish or entitled.
Yeah, I'm brief. I give others permission to forgive me
I give others permission to forgive me
when they feel resentful or anger.
when they feel
resentful or anger
resentful or
by something I did.
by something I did.
Yeah, I'm brief. I give my mom permission
I give my mom permission
to forgive me
to forgive me
for holding on to this resentment and anger
for holding on to this resentment and anger
and abandonment.
and abandonment.
Yeah, I'm brief. I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to show up for my 3-year-old self
to show up for my 3-year-old self
the way my parents couldn't.
the way my parents could not.
Yeah, I'm brief. I love and accept myself
I love and accept myself
even when I'm afraid
even when I'm afraid
to show up
to show up
because I might be controlled or attacked
because I might be controlled or attacked
or cut off.
or cut off.
Breathe. I love and accept myself
I love and accept myself
even when I'm afraid
even when I'm afraid
I'm going to lose opportunity
I'm going to lose opportunity
if I show up and be myself.
if I show up and
be myself.
be myself.
Yeah, I'm brief. I love and accept myself
I love and accept myself
even when I'm afraid.
even when I'm afraid.
I'll never be good enough
I'll never be good enough
for my dad to show up.
for my dad to show up.
Yeah, I'm brief. I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
If I am successful
If I am successful
and able to be my authentic self
and able to be my authentic self
and have a voice
and have a voice
that will somehow hurt my mom.
that will somehow hurt my mom.
Yeah, I'm brief. I love and accept myself
I love and accept myself
even when I'm afraid
even when I'm afraid.
I'll still feel angry and resentful
I'll still feel angry and resentful
when someone tries to control me
when someone tries to control me
or attack me.
or attack me.
And breathe. I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
My mom my mom won't get out of this.
My mom won't get out of it.
Yeah, breathe. I'm looking to see. I think I'm looking at the notes on the side.
Oh.
Okay. So I know she'll type some in if I go, just put some in there, Mom, if you got something. Okay. I love, let's see here. Without this, how about I forgive my 3-year-old self.
I forgive my 3-year-old self
for feeling my mom's abandonment.
For feeling my mom's abandonment.
By my dad.
By my dad.
Remember. I forgive my 3-year-old self.
I forgive my 3-year-old self
for identifying by identifying as abandoned.
By identifying as abandoned.
Yeah, by identifying with my mom's abandonment.
By identifying with my mom's abandonment.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive my dad.
Forgive my dad
for using me when I was 3.
For using me when I was 3.
To hurt my mom.
To hurt my mom.
Yeah, I'm brave. I forgive my dad for believing.
I forgive my dad for believing.
He was never wrong.
He was never wrong.
Yeah, I'm brave. I give, how about without this anger and resentment.
Without this anger and resentment.
I am free.
I am free.
To feel love, forgiveness, and happiness.
To feel love, forgiveness, and happiness.
Using my voice.
Using my voice.
And showing up for myself.
And showing up for myself.
Without fear of my dad leaving or hurting me.
Without fear of my dad leaving or hurting me.
Or my mom.
Or my mom leaving or hurting me.
Yeah. Without this abandonment, without my mom's abandonment, I am free.
Without my mom's abandonment, I am free.
To show up and be myself.
Show up and be myself.
Whether or not someone wants to control or attack.
Whether or not someone wants to control or attack.
Yeah, I'm brave. Without this pattern, without this abandonment, I am free.
Without this abandonment, I am free.
To feel safe, secure, and complete.
To feel safe, secure, and complete.
Being my authentic self.
Being my authentic self.
Yeah, I'm brave. Without this pattern, I am free.
Without this pattern, I am free.
To see opportunity as a gift.
See opportunity as a gift.
And show up there.
And show up at the gift.
Yeah, exactly. And show up at the gift. Yeah.
Right. Woo! That
Um,
makes sense to me. I know what that is.
yeah, okay. Without this pattern, I am free
Without this pattern, I am free.
to show up
Show up
for people who are like my mom and dad,
for people who are like my mom and dad,
and know who I am can't be taken away.
and know who I am cannot be taken away.
Yeah, I'm great. I give myself, or without this pattern, I am free
Without this pattern, I am free.
to let my 3-year-old self just be 3.
Let my 3-year-old self be free.
And feel safe, secure, and complete.
I feel safe, secure, and complete.
A love, forgiveness, and happiness.
A love, forgive, and happiness.
Knowing she doesn't have everything figured out.
She doesn't have everything figured out.
And she might never.
And she may never.
But it's okay.
And it's okay.
Because I know the future.
Because I know the future.
And I'm here.
And I'm here.
Yeah, I'm great. All right. Without this pattern, I am free
Without this pattern, I am free.
to love myself more
Love myself more.
and to be a better person for the people that I love.
And to be a better person for the people that I love.
Yeah, I'm breathing. It's feeling pretty good. Anything else? I with the statements, if you can kind of see it, we do all the 3 types of forgiveness statements: to forgive myself, forgive others, and give others permission to forgive me.
Mm-hmm.
Let go of fear, but also whatever patterns you kind of want to bring in. That's the without this pattern, I'm free, and then you just kind of fill in the blank. Or even here's a good one. One reason I'm grateful.
One reason. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you could say one reason I'm grateful that my dad left. You might already know. Do you have a fill in the blank there?
Well, one reason I'm grateful for his lifestyle choices is because it's made me a better person.
Oh,
to know what's valuable in my life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, and I mean, a gimme for the gratefulness is maybe you didn't want it, but you can identify or you can empathize with others who have similar situations or who have those types of relationships, and you can help them as well. So that's a good reason to be grateful too.
I have a little statement.
Hello.
I couldn't
Sure,
type it fast enough.
We got 5 minutes.
I know. So the thing that kept coming into my head was this loyalty thing she's got with mom. So I have a forgiveness statement. I forgive myself for believing I can't love dad.
I forgive myself for believing that I cannot love dad.
I can't forge a bond of love with my dad. I can't forge. Are you still there?
Oh no.
Oh no. Where'd she go?
Her camera might have died, or she might have.
Oh no. Well,
it's
wait.
okay. Pause. I was type it up, Mom. Type it on the side while you're thinking of it.
Well, it's up here already.
Oh, it is?
Wait, I'm looking for it. Where'd it go?
Put your camera on.
Okay. Camera.
She'll be back, I'm sure, shortly.
She will be. Okay. So I will just say the thought I was going through.
Yeah, go for it.
I forgive myself for believing I can't love dad.
I forgive myself for believing I can't love dad.
And people like dad without leaving my mom in her own suffering.
Oh, hi again.
Hi, sorry, my husband. Remember I said getting cut off? My husband. He knows these things. It just tracks it right into my life, and he cut me off. And he called 5 times. And that's what I'm talking about. These kinds of things, cutting me off. Communication is one of these things, and I have just had enough of it. I mean, my computers, my Garmin, everything in my life, cut off. I'm like, you know what? I can't figure this out. I've got to.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. It has to do with your loyalty.
Yeah.
Your loyalty to your mom when you're 3 years old means that I need to reject or be rejected or be hurt like her over and over by people who cut me off. So I have to, where'd it go? I forgive myself
for believing I can't love dad.
Love my dad.
Yeah.
I forgive myself for believing I can't love my dad.
Or people like my dad.
Or people like my dad.
Or people like my dad.
Or even myself if I'm like my dad.
Or even myself if I'm like my dad.
And all the parts of me that are like him.
And all the parts of me that are like him.
That I can't love that.
That I can't love that.
I can't forge pathways of love to these people.
I can't forge pathways of love to these people.
Without leaving my mom.
Without leaving my mom.
In all of her suffering.
In all of her suffering.
So out of loyalty to mom.
So out of loyalty to mom.
I cut off love for dad.
I cut off love for dad.
And so dad keeps showing up in my life.
And so dad keeps showing up in my life.
To forge more love out of me.
To forge more love out of me.
And I've allowed loyalty.
And I've allowed loyalty.
To my mom's suffering.
To my mom's suffering.
Because I can't bear to leave her there alone.
Yeah, because I can't bear to leave her alone.
That's it. Yeah. And breathe. Yeah. So I say yes.
I say yes.
To this idol of loyalty to my mother's suffering and pain.
To this idol of loyalty to my mother's suffer and pain.
And rejection.
And rejection.
And I tear it down.
And I tear it down.
I tear down this idol of loyalty that I put up.
I tear down this idol of loyalty that I put up.
The loyalty to her suffering.
The loyalty to her suffering.
Because I didn't think I could handle.
Because I didn't think I could handle.
Or that God would be with me.
Or that God would be with me.
If I loved my dad.
If I loved my dad.
If I really loved my dad.
If I really loved my dad.
If I really allowed my dad to love me with all his faults and flaws.
If I really allowed my dad to love me with all his faults and flaws.
That would somehow hurt my mom.
That would somehow hurt my mom.
And I didn't believe I could handle it.
And I didn't believe that I could handle it.
That God would help me handle that.
That God would help me handle that.
So I have worshiped at an idol of suffering.
Wow. So I have worshipped an
idol of suffering in replacement of the love that God, my Father, has for me.
Wow. Yeah. Let me say that again. Okay. So
and I forgive myself.
I forgive myself
for worshiping at an idol of my mother's suffering.
For worshiping an idol of my mother's suffering.
In replacement of God, my Father's love.
In replacement of God, my Father's love.
Because of how my earthly father hurt my mother.
Because of how my earthly father hurt my mother.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I tear down the idol.
I tear down the idol.
Because it no longer serves me or God.
Because it no longer serves me or God.
And I open up massive space.
And I open up massive space.
Where God, my Father.
Where God, my Father.
Heals.
Heals.
and makes all the hurt my dad caused in my life
and makes all the hurt that my dad caused in my life
and caused in my mother's life,
and caused in my mother's life,
God heals that for us and my father.
God heals that for us and my father.
And then breathe. Ah, yeah. Without this idol of loyalty
Without this idol of loyalty
to my mother or my suffering,
to my mother or my suffering,
I can show up as myself.
I can show up as myself.
Even when there are people who want to hurt me,
even when there are people who want to hurt me
or cut me off.
Or cut me off.
Yeah, God, my Father loves me.
God, my Father loves me.
And I show up fully and authentically out of honor for my Creator.
That's a good one.
And I show up fully.
I show up fully.
Out of honor.
Out of honor.
And gratitude.
And gratitude.
For my Creator.
For my Creator.
Who knew before I was born.
Who knew before I was born.
This was the mom and dad I was supposed to have.
This was the mom and dad I was supposed to have.
To bring me closer.
To bring me closer.
To the love that God has for me.
To the love that God has for me.
And even the love he has for my dad and mom.
And even for the love he has for my dad and mom.
Which can only be expressed when I show up.
Which can only be expressed when I show up.
The way God made me.
The way God made me.
And then breathe. Oh, that feels so good.
That's a 300 pounds, I guess the Lord told me that I was carrying. So you think you're free, but you're not.
And I want to say, without that pattern.
Without that pattern.
And that idol of loyalty.
And that idol of loyalty.
I can praise God.
I can praise God.
For the love he has given me.
For the love he has given me.
That I give freely to my dad.
That I give freely to my dad.
And my mom.
And my mom.
And then breathe. Oh, that feels good. And I don't have to show up feeling like a traumatized 3-year-old.
And I don't have to show up feeling like a traumatized 3-year-old.
Who has to functionally disassociate.
Who has to functionally disassociate.
When someone cuts me off or disregards me.
When someone cuts me off or disregards me.
Or can't hear what I'm saying.
Or can't hear what I'm saying.
And then breathe. Wow. So good.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So I was testing and distress went like to a 2. So that's good. And the stage of healing went to 7. Yeah. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
Time for new things.
Yeah.
And the statements are in the chat, so we can get those to you if you want.
Oh, good. Great. Yeah, thank you.
What did Suds go to? A 2.
2 is what I got.
Stages of healing. Woo, I'm still moving here. That was beautiful. I love tearing those idols. Woo, man.
Oh, yeah. You know,
tear those idols down and woo.
You know what? Loyalty. I am such a loyal person. I mean, I had no idea that was an idol in my life, but I am like to a fault. And I would say that to a fault. And that's actually even carried over into our marriage. My marriage. I've been married 34 years. So that's actually even carried over to that. And the suffering in that.
Yeah, and when that loyalty, it becomes an idol when it separates you from God's plan for your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when it becomes an idol. when I think this loyalty is going to connect me to God's plan, instead of there's only one thing that connects me to God's plan, and that would be the blood of Jesus.
Right. Amen.
So,
yeah.
Right. So Suds went, to stage. Oh, stages of healing went to 7. Okay, I got it. I'm typing.
Oh, you're typing. I was typing while you were saying statements because they were good.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, those are awesome.
Woo, well, thank you, ladies. This is awesome.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes, Robin. That was amazing that you had magnets. Awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Are you studying forgiveness as a part of your work right now or no?
No, but okay. I have I have a prophetic voice. And I move that way, and I just, there's just something there. I mean, I've given forgiveness to everybody involved in a situation, and I'm like, Lord, I just couldn't put my finger on what was going on. And I'm taking courses for the nutritional response testing. You guys are probably familiar with that. Yep.
I am.
Okay. But as part of the integrative medicine, that I kind of was gravitating towards that. That's how the Lord led me. And then I've been keeping an eye on what you guys have been doing, but I'm trying to figure out for my next phase, like where it all fits. Because I've had several words about unblocking people, and really emotional was the connections. And I understand emotions into the tissues and all that. I understand all that. So I don't know. I just felt like I was stuck and I just couldn't move forward. I'm like, what is going on? Because I searched my heart. Is it me? What's going on? Do I have resentment? All that. But that's crazy. And I know exactly the moment that I picked that up. So when I was 3, do you remember Mrs. Beasley? Annette, do you remember Mrs. Beasley? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had a Mrs. Beasley, and I went upstairs right after my dad left, and my mother was sitting on the toilet, and she was crying, and she shut the door. She told me to go next door because she had a friend next door, and she just shut the door. And that just had like such a, like, I think that's the moment that I picked that up and carried that.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
And I was 3. I was about 3 years old around that time. I was 3. Actually, this little girl right here.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. You have a picture
about that.
3.
Well, yeah.
That's crazy.
That time. Is that crazy?
You know what? You know what? That is so crazy. That is like very typical of the joy in an EPT session. You'll be working with somebody and you go to age 3, you don't know anything about them, and then they go, look, I have a picture of me at 3.
Yeah. And you know why? Because and to take it a step further, the Lord told me to get this picture out because this is a prophetic statement. And I actually carried this. I put this on my phone for a year. I walked around because I'm like, it's about me, because I give over myself to everybody. And I'm like, Lord, you're talking about healing me, you know what I'm saying? And paying attention to me. There's something about this. So that's why this picture is pulled out. Yeah. And I carried that on my phone for a year. And then I changed it with my grandkids. I have too many grandkids to keep myself on my picture, on my screen. So
that is amazing. And then here's Paige going, okay, this is age 3.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's all lined up. That's crazy.
Wow,
beautiful.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So I appreciate this, ladies. Thank you so much. I definitely want to invest more, but right now I need to finish my